Hello, Fuse Nation. My name is Alex Fuse, the host of Fusion News. Today is January 9th, 2018, the second of three shows today. And before I introduce my next guest, JJ from Barstool Sports, are you a subscriber of Fusion News? And if not, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button right now to join the Fuse Nation. And without further ado, the next guest on tonight's show, JJ from Barstool Sports, will be talking some Yankee offseason, some wrestling, and much more. So, JJ, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
So, of course, I haven't talked to you since the Yankees made their major trade of the offseason, Giancarlo Stanton to the Bronx. What was your reaction when you saw the news?
Oh, I was elated. I think having that kind of power in the lineup, and when you talk about everyone's talking Stanton Judge, it's easy to put Stanton Judge Sanchez because there's the picture of the three of them at the home run derby. But we haven't even seen Greg Bird healthy. Like we haven't seen a long stretch of him healthy. So when then you factor in guys like Didi, who can hit for power, can hit the ball into the gap, have some speed. It's impossible to not be really excited about this lineup because at any point, like we're not out of the game.
Yeah, and what surprised me most is last week an article came out and the Yankees are keeping an eye on Manny Machado. Do you think that it's realistic that the Yankees trade to get Machado on this 2018 Yankee team, or do you feel like it could possibly be a signing that they do next offseason?
So I think with the Stanton trade, we pretty much took Bryce Harper out of the picture, which I'm totally fine with. And the Stanton contract, the way it sits now for the Yankees, isn't a bad contract. If you give me, Giancarlo Stanton for 10 years at $265 million or whatever it is, that's a steal. Machado, I could see the Yankees making the move at some point in 2018. I think the Orioles wanted someone to blow the doors off, wanted someone to say, here's a huge trade. We've got, you've got to make it. Ton of prospects, top prospects, but that didn't come. So I think the idea was, well, maybe wait till around the deadline. But now when you lose your closer, you're not going to be a team that's in contention. Do you shoot for it now or deal with the chance that someone isn't missing a third baseman or a shortstop headed into that stretch run? Because unlike an outfielder who can maybe move around the outfield or just be a bat, there's only two positions that he can play. So I could see us making the move, but it would only be there's a whole situation with if it gets down to the deadline, can you do an extension? I think if it happens before the season, it would be an extension. If it happens during the season, they'd get significantly less back. But I think the Yankees are going to make a run at Machado. Machado looks up to A-Rod very much. It's why he wears, why he wears his number. If we were to head into the offseason and not have Manny Machado, I would hope that they utilize A-Rod as kind of an ambassador to try to pull him in.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about the whole at third base this coming year. Do you think the Yankees get Todd Frazier back?
I think we still, we've been very thrown off this year because the market just hasn't moved. When you have a lot of the top 20 players not, making any kind of signing yet, you really need kind of those chips to start to fall in place. Todd Frazier, wants a multi-year agreement. I understand that. The Yankees could maybe give him a 2-year contract, but he wants something like 3 years. I don't know what the market is for a guy on the wrong side of 30 who's batting, 241 or something like that to get a multi-year contract. But if he wants to, if the market hasn't shaped up greatly for him and he wants to, kind of bet on himself, I think it would be smart to take a 1-year deal with the Yankees, come in, win a World Series, or, be in a great position to do that and have so much protection in that lineup that you're able to, to hit better. He was clearly, loved in New York. I don't know where else, he could go. I know the Mets have been mentioned, as a possible destination. But, he's back home. The New York fans love him. He won us that Little League World Series. Well, us being, the Northeast. So I'd like to see it. I don't know if it happens, though, because as the chips start to fall, I could see him ending up somewhere else on a multi-year agreement.
JJ, when you talk about what the Red Sox have done this offseason, it's basically been nothing. I keep saying it seems like they're in hibernation. What do you feel like this position is for this Yankee team, knowing that there isn't a clear challenge in the division? I guess you could name the Red Sox in there, but they're missing a few pieces. You look at their lineup; they don't have that power bat that the Yankees have now with Stanton. They're adding in David Price, but how effective could David Price be next season? We don't know. So where do you feel like the Yankees? I mean, they have a shot to win the World Series. They were one win away from the World Series last year. Where do you see this 2018 Yankee team going?
So I think without the addition of Stanton, so I think if we don't go get Stanton, we maybe don't go get CC. We don't start to talk about all of these moves that even could still happen at Garrett Cole, because Clint Frazier has to play somewhere, and it's probably not in the Bronx. But that's a guy who can have a 10, 15-year major league career. So, early in the offseason, I wouldn't have been surprised if we regressed and, went back to, not making the playoffs or losing a wild card game. But now, although the Red Sox haven't really done much and the Rays stink and the Orioles are going to stink, we're always going to see their best game. The Rays beat the Yankees a lot just because you kind of get up for that. You get excited for that. The Red Sox have the potential to have some great pitching. Obviously, we know what Chris Sale does. If David Price can figure his stuff out this year and he doesn't need Tommy John surgery, as I've suspected all of last year, they can be dangerous in like these short series. The Yankees, end up running up against those guys. But, you kind of hope you get the best out of them just because you don't want to see your team become, kind of complacent.
We're going to switch gears now and talk some WWE. I was just on the phone with Joe Rivera from the Sporting News, and I have to ask you the same question. Ronda Rousey is a name that has been rumored around the WWE the past year. And now with the Women's Royal Rumble match in just a few weeks, do you see Ronda Rousey potentially entering in the world of the professional wrestling in this match?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say it. I think it would add some excitement to it. I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but there's not really a ton that excites me about a Women's Royal Rumble, especially because they've said so far the rules are going to be the same. I know traditional women's battle royals, it's just get them out of the ring versus over the top rope. And I just think from a height standpoint, like it's tough to get, you can't clothesline an Alexa Bliss over the top rope. So I think bringing in some of that star power would be nice and kind of breaks things up a little bit from it being another, at WrestleMania, there's always that 5-on-5 so we can showcase the women. It could make it where it's an actual draw. It's not, I'm going to go to the bathroom. It's not a popcorn match, So it'd be exciting to see. I'd like to see her. I'd like, Stephanie McMahon to maybe be a surprise entrant. I think last I saw, there's only like 18 active women that aren't injured or aren't champion right now. So there are spots to fill. So it should be interesting. I think if Ronda Rousey's ever going to do it, like, this is the time, rather than just, show up for a run-in or, have some kind of, slowly built up, WrestleMania match that starts with her like being on a Raw. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it now. Especially, I wouldn't be surprised if not so much a surprise entrant, but with Raw 25 coming up that same week, to get an appearance there, because they are really stacking the lineup for that event.
I'm hoping for a return of Vicky Guerrero, a good friend of the show. I had Vicky on last year. So I'm hopeful for maybe a Vicky Guerrero entry into the world or the Women's Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, former divas, women wrestlers, whatever they were categorized at the time. Trish Stratus, Lita. I think we're going to see some of those names. I think, Michelle McCool's been mentioned, which will be fun because the Undertaker will be on Raw that Monday.
Mhm. Now you mentioned the Undertaker, and he has been announced that he will be on the Raw 25th year anniversary episode. Where do you feel like the WWE is going with this show? It feels like night that the WWE announces the Undertaker is going to be in the Hall of Fame this year, or do you feel like Taker's not done? He needs one more match, and it's against John Cena. That's what I'm hoping for.
So I'm hearing, everything I'm hearing. If you read the dirt sheets, it's that we're going to find out that John Cena and the Undertaker are going to, go at it at WrestleMania. It's interesting because I was very much concerned that John Cena was going to come back and win the Royal Rumble again and make this WrestleMania his 17th championship. I don't think they necessarily need to do that this year. I think maybe a year from now where, depending on what his movie schedule is, if he cannot be committed to something and kind of do a run, that would be great. But he does kind of come and go. And I understand that. John Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania, I couldn't care any less about a match. I just don't see it being a good match. Cena puts up good matches. Cena has shown he's more than the five moves that he's been criticized for and all that stuff. But I don't know that he's carrying 1,000-year-old Undertaker. We saw, the match last year against Roman Reigns was pretty bad. He's had some surgeries. He's had some time to rest. But Peter Rosenberg does Cheap Heat and was on and is on WWE programming. And, he said he's seen The Undertaker backstage and he doesn't look like a guy who could or should be wrestling. The Hall of Fame would be nice. But I'm excited to see kind of what they do with it. As long as you're not going to get the letdown of a bad match or him coming back and saying, one day is not going to define me anymore and then never showing up again, or, SmackDown's my home and never being on SmackDown again. Always going to love seeing the entrance. And it'll be interesting to see back at the Manhattan Center.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. So before we wrap up this interview, what do you think before we enter spring training? One quick fix, so to say. I don't think they need a fix, but what do you think the Yankees need to do before the offseason ends?
I'd love to see another starter added. Garrett Cole, someone like that would be great. Just someone who's going to eat innings. I think we've seen that. Tanaka with his elbow, he's going to need an extra day here and there. CC will probably break down at some point and need some time. Severino, we're getting into, he's got to be a workhorse now, and he was last year, but we've got to see more of that. And I think we haven't even come close to seeing what Sonny Gray does. Not even close to, what he can do. He really wasn't that great for us. He didn't get a ton of run support, but I think we're going to see some big things from him. I think just adding another workhorse to that rotation would really do a lot to secure the future and, really just give you the confidence going into every game that even though we can hit, 10 home runs a game, we don't have to.
I definitely agree with that. And JJ, thank you again for coming on my show tonight. And where can the fans follow you on Twitter and read along with you on Barstool Sports?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at BarstoolJJ, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. And anything I do, I put on there.
All right. Thank you again for coming on tonight's show. And Fuse Nation will be back here live with another episode at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching, and I will be seeing you very soon. Be a subscriber.